Hey guys, Booligan here with Booligan Airsoft and Shooting Sports, doing the second video on my series on this Lancer Tactical BattleHawk PDW. We're going to be looking at the performance and the internals in this video. So let's go ahead, let's go outside, let's put it through the chronograph, and let's check it out on my 100-foot test targets. Now, one thing to note, it is a little bit windy today, so the accuracy, we'll see what it does. Haven't put really too many rounds through this thing and measured them yet. So let's go outside, let's take a look and see how it shoots. Okay, we're going to be doing some velocity testing. One thing you will note, see my battery's kind of sticking out the back here. This is using a 7.4 volt LiPo that was sent along with the gun. And one thing that I want to note is that it does not fit too well. It's about the smallest battery you can use, and even then with the MOSFET setup for the electronic trigger unit, I could not get all the wiring in there. So that's something to look at, is, you know, maybe shortening up the wires on your battery or something else. So let's go ahead. We're using 0.20 gram Matrix brand BBs, and I will go ahead and I will, if you can't see it, I will call out the velocities as we go through. 317.2. 320.9, 317.2, 320.9, 322.1, 325.3, 316.6, 319, and 316.6. So clearly the velocity for this is set up for CQB oriented shooting, shooting certainly under 350 feet per second and averaging between 320 and around 320 to 330. Let's go ahead and let's do some accuracy testing on my steel targets about 100 feet away. It's a little bit windy today, and let's adjust the hop up just a little bit more, see if we can get a little bit more float out of them, because they seem to be dropping around that point. Keep in mind, this is with 0.20 gram BBs, as I use that for my standard velocity testing, so that's what I use for my range testing. If you were to put some 0.25 grams, especially in this wind, you can hear it's probably buffeting my camera pretty bad. You'd be able to get pretty good accuracy out of this. Let's see the rate of fire with this 7.4 volt LiPo battery. Burst fire like that is really where this thing shines. You get a nice little spread, just enough to increase your hit probability on a target out to about, 100 feet. So for CQB oriented gameplay, or even some mild field use, this would be a really good place to start. Performance wise, again, I'm pretty pleased with what this thing is shooting at, its consistency and its accuracy, especially for the price point. Now let's go ahead and let's dive inside and see what makes this thing tick. One last thing I'd like to test before going inside looking at the internals is going to be the trigger response. This uses, I believe, a micro switch trigger, and it has that nice little flat face trigger. So let's see, for semi-auto style games, how quickly can you really pepper the trigger on this thing. Help if I wound the magazine up. That's a pretty good trigger response for a factory, like, sub $200 gun. Ride the trigger and really start to go fast, it does get a little bit whiny there with the motor, but maybe some motor adjustments would be able to improve that a little bit. Now let's go inside and take a look and see how it runs. So now we have the gearbox and hop up and air barrel out of the Lancer Tactical. Let's take a quick look at some of the features of the gearbox. So it is a version 2, obviously. Up front, you see you've got radiused corners in the gearbox window. Got ball bearing equipped bushings there. A quick change spring system. The other side of the gearbox has some features I really like. First off, you've got space here for the wires so that they can clear the motor shaft. You have this little cutout here that allows you to release the pressure on the spring by activating the anti-reversal latch. But other than that, it looks to be a very solid gearbox. You can see the detail on the flat trigger. Very nice little setup there. We're going to open this thing up and actually look at the inside in just a bit. The hop-up on this is a Palmer hop-up unit. It is a large rotary dial adjustable setup and is a standard nub in there. Nothing crazy, no little fins or anything weird. It's supposed to be, I believe, a 6.03 Type bore barrel, but I'll have to confirm that. And overall, everything fits very tightly together. There's no, the barrel doesn't wiggle in the hop-up like on some other guns that I have seen. So let's go ahead, let's open this up and see what some of the actual internals consist of. So now we have the gearbox opened up. Kind of move some stuff aside here. First off, take a look on the quick change spring system. You do have a ball bearing spring guide, which is great, keeps things from binding up. The gearbox itself, the internal components look to be quite nice. For your piston, you do have a full steel rack, but with that tooth shaved for easier engagement. Go ahead, let things kind of spring loose a little bit here when we take this out. So, standard air nozzle, no O-ring or anything in there. Your cylinder is ported. Let's see what the air seal is like. It's got a ported head, so the faster that goes, it's going to seal up a little bit of resistance, but you probably have a little bit of room for improvement there to get the peak efficiency out of this setup. On your gears, you'll notice, zoom in real quick, you do have a sector chip, which is going to aid in proper feeding. It's going to make sure that the air nozzle and the tappet plate moves appropriately as it's going. And then a little back, you can see their electronic trigger unit. And their, I believe it's called like the Lancer Fast Trigger or something along those lines. This works in cooperation with this little guy that's near the Dean's wired plug and is what allows this thing to work its magic. Now, some of the features that I believe are in this, I've read that it does have a voltage monitoring setup, so it'll keep track of your battery voltage, and if your voltage is too low, it'll shut the gun down to prevent damaging the a LiPo battery. Really, this setup is designed around running a lithium polymer battery, so it's definitely set up for experienced upper tier players, and the equipment that they're going to run. The gears were shimmed. There were a couple of shims that were on the gears that I pulled off, so they weren't just sort of sitting there. Different sizes, so it does look like some care was actually done with shimming the gearbox. So overall, the internals on this, if you were to look at this gearbox and what's in this gun and the body and everything from call it 3, 4, 5 years ago, these would be internals that are on a $500 or $600 gun. The fact that these are on a sub $200 gun for most models is crazy. It's just crazy how much technology has kind of trickled down and has been able to put such high quality components inside such an inexpensive gun. So really, it's well set up. If you want to just go and just run the gun, just go, keep it stock, run it, perfect. You're going to be in good shape with it. It's probably going to work just fine and is going to last a good long time. But
this gives you really good bones and really good base for, you know, further customization. There's nothing in here that's overly proprietary. So if you want to change out your gears with the high-speed gear set, go ahead. If you want to change out your motor, go ahead. Your gearbox shell is really solid, and it's got reinforcements where it needs, and then it's got the cutouts here at the front, you know, which help, you know, prevent that from cracking, the radius cylinder window. So, you know, the fact that this is on a sub $200 gun is pretty awesome, and I think Lancer did a good job with that. How well this thing will hold up, you know, in the hands of new players or on the field, you know, where people aren't necessarily taking care of their stuff as well, that's a little bit more of an open-ended question. And it'll be interesting to see how this goes, you know, in my hands, especially because I'm going to be tweaking and doing some customization to it. So, but overall, like I said, the externals in the last video were quite good. They're just a couple of little, you know, tiny quirks that I didn't love. And the internals are quite good as well. Just so far, the only things that I really noticed, battery space is an issue on this PDW model, and I can't even get the battery in it without keeping that back cap open, which is less than ideal, but it is what it is when you're using a PDW style stock. Like I said, I might shorten up the wires a little bit to make that work a little better for me. But many thanks to them for sending this over. I will go ahead and get this thing put back together, and the next time you see some pictures and videos of it, it's going to be looking a little different. We're going to be doing some cool customizations to it, so stay tuned for that. And as always, thanks for watching.